I'm Adam, and this is a video about our 2018 Audi Q5 2.0 Turbo Quattro. This awesome Audi is currently in our list of pre-owned vehicles, so I wanted to give you guys a bit of a walk-around tour, and then later this week we'll see Brenna take it on a test drive. This is a really cool SUV. We don't get a lot of Audis in here at the dealership, so I wanted to take the opportunity to show you guys a little bit about this car, and let you know that you do have some luxury options with us as well. As I mentioned, this is a 2018 Q5, so this is their mid-size SUV. This is the 2.0 turbo engine, so it's a 4-cylinder, and then this is the Quattro, meaning this is an all-wheel drive. Moving around the outside, as I mentioned, this car is in Manhattan gray. I personally love the design of this Q5. I think it's very aggressive. It's not too bulky, but it's also not super sleek, if that makes sense. I really like the lines on it. It gives it a nice stance. This Audi does feature the full LED headlights, of course, which give an awesome look. And then moving around to the back, we also have the full LED tail lights as well. We do have these nice 5-spoke aluminum alloy wheels. This Audi is full of great features, and in today's video, I'm going to go over a few of those and let you guys see what they truly offer. We'll mostly be focused on the inside of the vehicle today, and I want to start out with this mirror control switch. So if you see here on the driver door, we do have the power side view mirror controls, and it has this little knob that can actually be rotated all the way around, and that is what sets the mirrors to power fold in. It's kind of interesting. Some cars, a lot of luxury cars nowadays do have power folding mirrors, but they're automatic. When you lock the doors, they fold, and when you unlock, they unfold. So I'm kind of surprised to see that Audi has this kind of dated style of power folding mechanism, but nonetheless, they do offer it. The next thing that I want to point out to you guys, I thought was pretty interesting. So we do have this awesome full LCD display here with all the gauges, lets it be totally configurable. But if you notice on either side of the gauge, we actually have the gas gauge and the engine temperature gauge. I thought it was kind of interesting that these gauges are not covered with any kind of clear plastic or anything. You can actually touch the gauge itself. It is an LED light that indicates how full your gas tank is and such, but I just thought it was kind of interesting that it didn't have any kind of a lens cover on it. They just kind of left it exposed. Alright, next we're going to move over here to the left a little bit and look at the headlight control switch. So it looks pretty normal, just like every other car with automatic headlights, but these two buttons over here to the left were what I thought was interesting. I've not seen one with this little rainy day kind of storm looking symbol on it before, so I did a little bit of investigating, and that is exactly what it looks like. So if you're driving on a cloudy or rainy day and you want a little bit extra visibility, you can press this button and it will turn on your yellow side marker lights as well as your kind of like your daytime running lights. Now this button below it is actually not your fog lights, this is your rear fog lights. So these are really common in European cars and all across Europe where they have fog a lot more often than we do. Cars are equipped with rear fog lights. So you can press this button and it will turn on some extra red lights in the back of your Audi to make sure that you have increased visibility on rainy or foggy days. Alright, now I want you guys to check out the center console here, just to kind of show you it's got the screen layout, and we have the climate controls per usual. Underneath we have some car controls, and then we get down here into the infotainment system controls and the gear selector. As you can see, this Audi Q5 does have a lot of different controls down here in the center console, so I will explain those to you guys. So when you are ready to move about your infotainment screen, you're actually going to use this black knob here. Not only does this knob rotate, you can press it down and you can move it like a joystick, left, right, or up and down to move through your infotainment screen. On the left or right side, we also have these map, navigation, telephone, radio, and media buttons, so those give you easy access to flip between the most commonly used infotainment systems in your Audi. I do want to point something out to you guys. Even though this is a luxury mid-sized vehicle, this screen that you're seeing is not a touch screen. So all these controls down here on the center console, the rotary dial, and this large touchpad with a bunch of different buttons on it, those are the only things that control your media screen here in the middle. You can't actually touch the screen as with most vehicles. Now, I don't see this being a huge problem because they do give you so many different ways to control the screen, but in most vehicles nowadays, especially luxury vehicles, we're seeing touchscreens as a basic standard feature. I think that they are missing out a little bit on usability in terms of ease of use, but it seems that they're doing okay with the usability with this knob and the touchpad and the kind of combination of everything. So I don't know that I would love that on a day-to-day basis, but for some people it certainly will work out. Okay, now we're gonna go back towards the center here a little bit. I wanna show you guys the windshield wiper controls. So these are basic. This Audi has rain sensing wipers like a lot of other luxury vehicles nowadays. So all you have to do is move the stalk up, and then we have this little rotary dial here that can adjust the sensitivity, how much rain it's gonna let accumulate on the windshield before the wipers will wipe for you. Another thing that I did want to point out with you guys regarding the infotainment system and controlling your multimedia screen is this touchpad here above the rotary dial. So this is kind of an interesting thing. Now, you actually cannot use this pad to navigate through the main menu if you want to switch between navigation, phone, or radio, or any of those things. It actually doesn't work for that, and it even doesn't work to scroll when you're inside a menu. The main use that I really found for this touchpad was a couple things. First of all, at the top of the touchpad, we have your radio presets, which are awesome because you can just rest your finger on the number and it will show you what that preset is without even pressing it. I think this is a great design because it's nice that you can see where you're going to go before you actually go. Additionally, we have the buttons on the left or right of this touchpad that take you usually into additional menus or open up extra option screens. So that's kind of cool, but I really was surprised to find out that you couldn't simply scroll using this touchpad. You actually do have to use the rotary wheel and either turn it or move it up and down like a joystick. In addition, you can use this media pad to press things though. So it is a capacitive touch, meaning you actually physically can press down on the little touchpad and it will select anything just the same way that it would select it if you press down on your rotary navigation knob as well. Now, one thing I am very surprised at and I don't really love is the fact that they put the volume control knob for the radio on the passenger side. Now, a lot of the times, the middle area, the center console of a vehicle is all about ergonomics and ease of use. That is where your other hand, that usually isn't driving, rests. And so the car companies really focus on putting useful buttons right in the middle console there. I don't think it was a great idea for Audi to put their volume knob over on the far side. Of course, it makes it easier to see and use if it's on the driver's side, since that's where you naturally gravitate towards. But nonetheless, it's just okay for me. I would for sure prefer it on the driver's side. Speaking of knobs, there are two that I do like the placement of in this Q5, and that is your climate control. So I like that we have these dual zone climate control knobs. I like this prominent setup where mostly the temperature knobs on either side are the biggest feature. Although I will say that this Audi has another really cool design with that hover technology, if you will. So for the silver switches here in the middle, they do operate up or down, and you know, they do most of the things that you would expect for your air conditioning controls. But one of the nice things is you can just rest your finger on these silver switches and it will show you all of the controls that you have to select through. This is the same as the preset buttons on the touchpad down below, but I think this is really awesome. Okay, so I told you guys we were going to be jumping all over this car. Now we are going to move down from the climate controls. I want to go back to the center console here and talk about this gear selector. So this is a pretty cool gear selector. As you see, we have reverse, neutral, and drive here, well, D or S, and then we also have this park button. So it works just like a normal gear selector. Put your foot on the brake and press the button here on the side. I like that it's just a simple two-stage click to get yourself in drive. Now, I did notice something that's pretty interesting. You can go to the right here and put it in manual mode, and that will reflect on your gauge display as well that you've moved into manual. It will show you what gear you're in. Or you can come back to the left here and put it back in drive, and it will go back automatically for you. One of the other interesting things with the S, that is sport mode, and when you click the gear selector down again past drive, it will flip it over into sport mode. It's very interesting because I noticed that the engine actually idles at a higher RPM when you're in sport mode than it does in normal drive. So it actually does keep the engine revved up a few hundred more RPMs and kind of keeps it a little more ready for a launch, if you will. And then finally, when you're done racing in your Q5, you can return to park simply by pressing this button here on the gear selector. Okay, moving over to the gauge cluster here, I do want to elaborate on this area a little more since it is super cool. This is a really amazing design here with the navigation screen. I was really blown away when I brought this screen up and I could see the full map right built in with my gauge cluster. This is really easy to see and makes driving with navigation a breeze. I was surprised to see that I could actually zoom all the way in and it would actually locate me exactly. So I'm sitting here in the parking lot of our pre-owned building, and when I zoom all the way in on that map, it actually shows me that I'm sitting in the exact spot that I'm actually parked in. It's kind of surprising, the accuracy, but I'm very impressed. Of course, with this being a luxury vehicle, this Q5 in particular does have the Prestige package as well. So we do have this nice heated steering wheel, and the button is integrated here on the right side of the steering wheel with the other controls such as volume. And then we also have the button above heated steering wheel, and that is the button to activate your voice guided navigation. Okay, going back to the middle of the car here, I do want to point out one other area that we haven't talked about as well, and that is the kind of car controls here between the climate and the media touchpad. So the main thing that we're going to talk about is the drive mode selector. As you can see here, we have up and down arrows, and that will move us through a couple different drive modes. So we have off-road, we have comfort, we have auto, we have sport, and then we also have individual, where you can set the steering feel and the engine responsiveness to either comfort or sport, whatever you prefer. I do like the overall layout of the center console here. Your hand rests nicely and can move easily between the touchpad, the rotary dial, your gear selector, which I would imagine is where your hand would just normally rest, and then that volume knob as well. Everything is easily within reach. I don't think that they've put any controls in a poor spot, especially with the center console. Overall, I do like the interior design of this Q5. Okay, we are going to look at the backup cam now. I do want to show you guys something that I noticed I thought was pretty cool. So when you shift the Q5 into reverse and your backup cam comes on your media screen here in the center, I really like that it shows you where the front of the vehicle is traveling as well. So it's often that when you turn the wheel with your backup cam, your car will kind of show you some turning guidelines that will show you where you'll end up being. That's fine and dandy. This Q5 does that as well. The thing that I liked most though was that when you look at your backup lines, it shows you where the front of your vehicle is going to be traveling to. That way you can account for the front end while you're reversing. All right, finally, we're gonna look up from the center console and we'll look at the sunroof controls. Pretty basic. We do have two knobs. I like when they make this distinction between the sunshade and the actual sunroof. So the first one operates sunshade. We do have the manual and the full auto forward and backwards for the sunshade, so that's pretty nice. And then the larger knob in the front here actually controls the glass. So we have movement to raise the glass and vent it, or we can pull the trigger back and it will make the sunroof actually open all the way up. Now this does go on the outside of the vehicle versus sunroofs that slide underneath the glass in the back. And it slides over top the back glass, making the sunroof for the passengers very dark because they're looking through two tinted panes now, but nonetheless gives good open air feeling, lets a lot of fresh air into the cabin. All right, we're gonna check out the center console here now. This is a pretty basic center console. It actually really doesn't have hardly any mechanisms at all. One thing that I am surprised about is the center console has quite small cup holders in the front. So I know that a lot of European cars don't have many cup holders and things of the sort, but I did find it kind of weird that these cup holders were so small. And then for the center console lid here, it's on a ratcheting system. So you lift it up a little bit and then it can adjust the level that your arm will rest at. Otherwise, you lift it all the way up and it will release the ratchet, and then you can put the center console arm all the way down. Beyond that, we do have this nice little sliding tray here that can either cover up your cup holders or reveal them. Other than that, we've got a couple built-in USB ports. We have an auxiliary port back here. Pretty standard usability. Again, I just thought the cup holders were kind of strangely small. We're going to check out the back seats now. I want to point out a couple things to you guys. So we do have the automatic climate control adjustments here in the center console for the back seats, as well as you can see on the either side, we do have the heated seat options. So these are 3-stage heated seats. I always like when they give you 3 stages, low, medium, and high, just so you can really dial in the heat for your own personal preference. In addition, we also do see a couple more cup holders here in the rear center armrest. These cup holders, like the front, also strangely small. I think maybe they'll hold a can of something, even though most people don't want to take an open can of soda or whatever in their car. Yeah, I just find that to be not super user-friendly, but nonetheless, here's your cup holders. We do have good room in the back of the Q5. I can fit comfortably back here. I'm about 6'1", and I have plenty of leg room. Even with the driver's seat moved all the way back, my knees do touch the back of the driver's seat, but Most people don't drive in that position anyway. Okay, then moving on to the back cargo area here, you will notice, as with most vehicles in the same class, we have a great amount of cargo space here in the back. So we do have an all-weather cargo mat, and as you guys can see, we've got all-weather mats included with this Q5. And then if you look on the left or right, we do have cargo area lighting, LED on both sides, which is always nice. And then we also have the seat release levers here on the left and right. Those release the second row to be folded flat, so you can get extra cargo room. This is a pretty basic cargo area. Nonetheless, it does a good job, has plenty of room. We do have a power liftgate as well, so you just press the button here on the key fob and the liftgate will take care of the rest. I have to say though, I am surprised at the key fob for this vehicle. This key fob that we have here is a little beat up, which, I mean, wear and tear is common on these things, but I will say that this isn't a particularly nice looking key fob. The buttons are pretty basic on it. I like that they're kind of etched rather than having a sticker that says what they do. Other than that, I've seen much nicer car key fobs than this. And it doesn't also have remote start, which I find surprising. But nonetheless, key fob, keyless entry, all you have to do is walk up and pull the door handle. Your car will automatically unlock for you. Basic key fob for sure. Alright guys, that wraps it up for today. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you guys learned about some cool features of this 2018 Audi Q5 2.0 Turbo Quattro. If you do have any more questions, stop by and visit us here at Jack Schmitt Ford. We're at 1820 Vandalia Street in Collinsville, or you can see more photos of this vehicle online as well at jackschmittford.com. And watch on Thursday where Brenna is going to take this baby on a test drive, and I'm going to capture her reaction of getting that 2.0 turbo paired with that all-wheel drive performance.